Well, hey everybody, welcome to my booth. My name's Jay, and today's sample comes to us from Jim. Thanks for sending this in, Jim. If you'd like me to review audio of yours, there's a form in the description. Fill it out, send me something. It takes me about a month to get through the list to new submissions, a little bit more sometimes, so just be patient with me. There is, however, coaching on my website if that's more your speed and you want to jump the line, work more concertedly one-on-one. And then this is YouTube. If you like this stuff and you want to support it, you know what to do. And there are other ways to support this whole thing in the description. Without further ado, Jim, let's give this a listen.
I saw it coming, but there was no dodging an asteroid that size. Then there was nothing. Only darkness. We got the buns, ribs, tips, and dips. And they're hands down smoking good. So good, you're gonna want another one.
That's such a good spot for you. I love that spot for you. I'm a vegetarian and I want barbecue right now.
Beginning this fall, Blue Ridge PBS's Project Southwest will be profiling the hometowns of Southwest Virginia through the voices and stories of its residents. This fall at the Gulf Museum and Archives, take a glimpse into the elegant world of the geisha. There's an Amex card for every lifestyle, and membership perks are closer than you think. Bring your card to the 123rd U.S. Open at the Los Angeles Country Club. Amex, don't live life without it. Zio, where fashion has no age.
Jim, you know what? That's pretty good. I love a lot of these spots suit your voice and what I would presume your personality really darn well. So I don't have a whole lot of notes on your performance stuff, but let's start with a couple technical things that will be easy to implement and improve your sound somewhat. So in this spot right here, in particular, I'm hearing a fair amount of sibilance going on that you can easily tame. Sibilance is something that happens to all of us, some more than others, and some microphones can accentuate or pull that out. And so to tame that, what we can use is just simply a DeEsser, or you can use an EQ if you'd like. I have other videos on how to use EQ in this way, so I won't cover that now. But if you don't know what a DeEsser is, the human voice, the S's, the sibilant range, typically rests for most of us between around 3,500 hertz, or right about here on the frequency chart, up to around 8,000 hertz. Usually for most of us, it'll be somewhere in there. And so what this does is it listens to a specific range within that frequency band, and it just turns down the volume when those S's get a little too loud, or that frequency range gets a little too hot. So if we listen to just this little section here that has a lot of S's in it, this is without the DeEsser.
Through the voices and stories of its residents.
Voices and stories of its residents. And those S's are just a little on the whistly side. So if we turn on the DeEsser, you can just hear it, listen out for them, or you can watch this little gain reduction band and see how it's attenuating. This DeEsser, I've set it a little bit more extreme than I might for you, just to really demonstrate what it's doing. But here we go.
Through the voices and stories of its residents.
So that was without.
This fall. Through the voices and stories of its residents.
And with again.
Virginia, through the voices and stories of its residents.
So it just smooths out those S's so they're not as sharp and whistly. So that's one thing you can do. Then in this spot right here, it sounds to me like you're using some sort of noise gate and or expander. And I feel like your settings on that in this spot, I didn't hear it in the other ones, but in this spot in particular, it's just a little bit extreme in your settings. You can hear sort of a pumping artifact to your sound. So if you listen to it critically towards the end of sentences or when you're just quiet in general, you can hear it being attenuated.
And membership perks are closer than you think. Bring your card to the 123rd U.S. Open.
So in this, I did a little whoops-a-daisy. In this one here, this is just a little test, and So if you're using a noise gate, there are a couple things that you can do to fix it. Your threshold, it might just be too high, so you can turn that down a bit further. Your release, you could maybe just make that a little bit longer. It might be a little short or too quick right now. And some gates have a hold, which just keeps everything open for a little bit longer before it starts to close. And so you could make that a little bit longer. I have another video on noise gates if you want to go in more depth, but to demonstrate what it's actually doing, this is without the noise gate. Here we are testing a noise gate. And here it is with extreme settings on this noise gate, so what not to do, and sort of a extreme version of what I'm hearing in your recording. Here we are testing a noise gate. And you can see even here on the meter settings how it's opening and closing pretty frequently. Here we are testing a noise gate. And so that you can just make small, quick adjustments and it'll improve, at least in this recording, your sound quite a bit because it won't be cutting off your performance. Speaking of performance, as I said, I really don't have a whole lot of notes on your performance. I think a lot of these spots really, really suit your voice and your general vibe, for lack of a better term. I love this barbecue spot for you.
We got the buns, ribs, tips, and dips. And they're hands down smoking good. So good, you're going to want another one.
Yeah, it's really great for you. Again, I'm a vegetarian. It makes me want barbecue. There are a couple like super duper nitpicky things that you could think about. This whole thing, sort of right now, it is really connected still. This is me being very, very directory and nitpicky. But I might try to connect them a bit more. And what I mean by that is we've got the buns, dips, and tips, or whatever it is. And then it connects to this second thing, which is
they're hands down.
And they're hands down the best. They're so good that you're going to want another. And so you're nailing the tone, but you could, if you wished, make a little bit more of a story arc to it. So we've got these three things here, and they're all pretty darn good. They're so good. Or they're hands down the best thing you're ever going to eat. They're so good that you're going to want this many things. So you can give it a little bit more topography, because right now it's a little the same thing, which I totally dig, but that's just an option for you if we want to get really directory. My big note for you is in this first movie trailer one, the story behind it, I'm somewhat missing, or I want more of it. And what I mean by that is this character says, I saw the asteroid and it was coming, there was nothing to do, and then there was only darkness. Pretty bleak, pretty dark, pretty heavy in terms of the gravity of the statements. And I'm missing some of that gravity in lieu of the movie trailer thing. So what I mean by that is, instead of going, this thing was so extreme that they didn't think anything of it, I want to know like what it means to feel that stuff.
I saw it coming.
I saw it coming.
But there was no dodging an asteroid that size.
But there was no dodging an asteroid that size. That line in particular, I think, is where this sort of sentiment is flagged for me, because I really, really want it to be, I saw it coming, but there was nothing we could do. That sort of sinking feeling. And then
there was nothing.
And then there was nothing. The tone of this, I think, is just a little bit off. And then there was nothing. Everything's already happened. Everybody's dead. This whole thing's over. It's very bleak. And I think you can lean into that sort of emotional context a bit more. But otherwise, I think you could take that sort of emotional context thing and just dial it up in your other spots if you so chose. But all in all, I think for you and your voice, if you find a spot that jives with you, because a lot of these really, really do, it just works. It works, man. So really solid work on all of this. But those two little technical things I think will really help improve your sound. And then just watch out and see if you can dive further into any sort of emotional arc or make a sort of story arc to something, no matter what it may be. Anyway, thanks, Jim. For the rest of you, I hope this was helpful. And until the next one of these, be well, and I'll see you there. Toodles.